Prime and perfection. Jermall Charlo is 30 years old. He's meticulously built a professional record of 30-0. He holds a world middleweight title, and he's established himself as one of boxing's core stars, but he remains hungry for much, much more. For fight fans, and perhaps for Charlo as well, the lingering question is a simple one. We know how good he's proven to be, but how good can he ultimately become? Charlo has already made history. In May 2016, Jermall Charlo won a championship at super welterweight, making Jermall and Jermell the first twins to hold world titles in the same division. Initially, Jermall wasn't as widely recognized as Jermell, primarily because he turned pro without the aid of a power promoter. But in 2013 and 14, national TV exposure on SHOWBOX and Show Extreme introduced an athletic and powerful prospect. And by 2015, Charlo was a world titleist at 154 pounds, winning the IBF belt by crushing Cornelius K9 Bundrage, and making his first defense by overwhelming Wilkie Camford. In those fights, Charlo scored 7 knockdowns in 7 rounds. Clearly, and inarguably, it was time for a rise in the level of competition. As it turned out, that came in both of his next 2 fights. In May 2016, Charlo defended against Austin Trout in Las Vegas. This was a different type of opponent. Trout was a slick southpaw and a former titleist who was good enough to have convincingly beaten future Hall of Famer Miguel Cotto.
Oh, and Charlo has Trout in trouble in the corner, working the body with the uppercut, but Trout, the veteran, fights out and turns the tables on Charlo as they exchange shots.
It was a close fight. Trout's considerable boxing skills troubled Charlo, and the challenger's will never wavered.
That was a stiff straight left.
This a great tactical fight between 2 highly skilled junior middleweights.
The difference, as it turned out, was Charlo's superior punch and solid chin.
Oh, and another right hand.
Good tactical fight, you know. If one guy makes a mistake, the other guy's ready for the sharp counter.
Oh, good counter right over the top by Charlo. And definitely a star on the rise.
After 12 rounds, the decision, close but unanimous, went Charlo's way. He was now shining in an even brighter light. Charlo was having super success at super welterweight. Still, it was no secret that he was struggling more and more to make 154 pounds, and a move to middleweight was imminent. There was only one question: would he make one final defense? The challenger in question, IBF #1 contender Julian J-Rock Williams, had been calling out Charlo for months. To Charlo's credit, he delayed his jump up in weight and accepted a showdown with Williams. In December 2016, they clashed in Los Angeles in one of the most eagerly anticipated fights of the year. It was the first super welterweight title fight between unbeatens since Floyd Mayweather-Canelo Alvarez.
This is prize fighting at its best.
Counters to counters, and these are the kind of things we're going to see tonight. A lot of highly skilled stuff.
A minute into the second, Charlo struck with a familiar weapon, his jab.
Oh, and that jab sent Williams to the canvas.
Williams rebounded quickly, and for the remainder of round 2 and portions of the 3rd and 4th, he struck cleanly with jabs and power shots. The fighters were willing to test each other with the skill level as high as it gets. In the 5th, it ended in a flash, with a single shot that can't be forgotten.
Another 1-2, but a counter right! Face first goes Williams!
What a counter!
Charlo's counter right uppercut was as beautiful a punch as a fighter can throw, and Williams fell face first. That he got up was impressive, but Charlo finished him with a 12-punch flurry, producing his 3rd knockdown in less than 5 rounds.
Down goes Williams for the 3rd time! The fight is over! Houston, you definitely do not have a problem when it comes to Jermall, the Hitman Charlo. What a statement made in this fight.
Charlo left the highest level of the super welterweight division much as he had entered it, with a loud bang. With an emotional win that defined his career to date, Charlo said goodbye to the 154-pound class, while putting the world's best middleweights on notice. In July 2017, Charlo made his official middleweight debut in a title eliminator against Argentina's Jorge Halen in Brooklyn. It was a blowout. The southpaw Halen's mobility was extremely limited by an injury to his left knee, and facing a fighter like Charlo with such a handicap is tantamount to losing even before you try to win. There was a right uppercut knockdown in round 2.
Halen down!
And a left hook knockdown in round 4 that brought a merciful end.
Oh, and Halen goes down! Off balance!
The difference, Charlo was now a middleweight, not a super welterweight. No difference, he was still knocking people out. And for a fighter who idolized Thomas Hearns, retaining his power as he moved up in weight certainly fit the narrative. In April 2018, Charlo faced Hugo "the Boss" Centeno, who presented a different type of challenge. Unlike most of Charlo's opponents, Centeno was taller than Charlo and had a longer reach. Those physical advantages didn't seem particularly meaningful in round 2, when Charlo backed up Centeno with jabs, then exploded.
Charlo just misses with the right cross, clips Centeno, and drops Centeno in round 2.
7 punches later, the fight was over, with Centeno flat on his back.
7! He's out!
The power is for real at middleweight for Jermall the Hitman Charlo.
Crosses, hooks, uppercuts, even jabs. And whether leading or counterpunching, Charlo has repeatedly and emphatically shown that he is dangerous with any punch at any time.
It's all about #Lions only, and the entire sport of boxing is hearing the Charlo twins roar.
Eight months after ridding the ring of Centeno, Charlo was severely tested. 5 days before Charlo's showdown with slick lefty Willie Monroe Jr., Monroe tested positive for a PED and fell out. The substitute, former amateur standout Matty Korobov, was thought to be more of a threat than Monroe would have been. But there was more. As Charlo was making final preparations in his dressing room, he learned that Jermell, fighting on the same card, had just lost his 154-pound title to Tony Harrison. Now, only one Charlo was a champion, and now, only one was still undefeated. As he entered the ring to face Korobov, that tested Jermall's focus in a unique way. Sure enough, Charlo started slowly against the rugged southpaw Korobov, who landed more than enough left hands to remain competitive. But if a world-class fighter intends to keep winning, he must master the ability to adjust. Charlo did just that in the later rounds, and in the 12th, he punctuated his uneven performance with clean power shots that almost finished a fading Korobov. The fight had been tough, but the decision was unanimous. Three days before Charlo's June 2019 fight with Brandon Adams, the WBC elevated Charlo from interim champion to full middleweight champion. The shenanigans of the alphabet organizations aside, Charlo didn't need the green belt to confirm that he was already among the very best middleweights in the world. As it turned out, Adams was both an uncomfortable and relatively easy first title defense.
Charlo teeing off on the challenger Adams under a minute left in the 5th. There's a right uppercut by Charlo, clubbing right hand, left hook, and Adams stepping away, looking down to the canvas momentarily.
Much shorter and often reduced to lunging, Adams played the role of spoiler, and the fight never really did break out.
You're trying too hard to knock him out, okay? Stop trying to knock him out. Just let it happen, okay?
Charlo failed to land a lot of punches, but he won every round of a distance fight by jabbing smartly and catching Adams as the challenger came in.
So Brandon Adams did not want to follow the script.
He may not have followed the script, but he made Charlo work for it, and Charlo with a very mature performance tonight.
It was plain to see that at 160 pounds, tougher opposition was needed. Before that would happen, Charlo would brutalize another overmatched foe. Dennis Hogan was really a 154-pounder. And while his awkwardness delayed the inevitable, he eventually succumbed, as so many of Charlo's victims had done. In the fourth, counter left hook downed the Australian.
Oh, and there's a left uppercut that sends Hogan rolling backwards. Charlo now on a seek and destroy mission here in round number 4. Sweeping left, the right hand finds its target. Left hook to the body, right uppercut by Charlo.
And in the seventh, another hook brought the finish.
This is the ring of truth. This is where you find out the truth about who you are and who Hogan is down for the 3rd time in his career.
6. No.
And for the first time in his career, Dennis Hogan has been stopped. Jermall Charlo is 30-0 with 22 KOs.
And that's the statement we're talking about. He wants to make not just victories, he wants to make statement victories. One-punch knockout.
Jermall Charlo hit Dennis Hogan so hard he was moving like a shopping cart, and the statement was indeed made. And now Jermall Charlo will enjoy Christmas with his newborn daughter, Journey, as his journey remains a successful one.
COVID-19 has slowed boxing for sure, but for fans of Jermall Charlo, the wait will have been worth it. On September 26, Charlo will defend against Sergei Derevyanchenko of the Ukraine. Numbers don't always tell a complete story. Derevyanchenko has had only 15 pro fights, and he's 0-2 in his most significant matches. But those losses have come by split decision to Daniel Jacobs and debatable unanimous decision to Gennady Golovkin. Jacobs was among the best middleweights in all of boxing, and Golovkin had dominated the division for several years. They represented the highest level of 160-pound competition. This is the type of fight that can elevate Charlo and place him in a position to secure a career-defining bout against Golovkin or Canelo Alvarez. Just how good can Jermall Charlo ultimately become? On September 26, the answer will begin to reveal itself.